As I mentioned before, I am from Brazil, and here we have this interesting nostalgia for many classics of the 80s. Movies like Ferris Bueller, 3 O'Clock High, Blue Lagoon were broadcast millions of times for our Brazilian audiences during the afternoon shows. But there were times that our Brazilian channels took a chance to broadcast some horror movies. The Monster in the Closet, The Blob, Buried Alive. But if there was a movie that I remember loving as a child, although I didn't remember much about the movie itself besides its plot, and the fact that it was broadcast millions of times in many TV channels here in Brazil, was this movie called Fortress, not to be confused with another movie called Fortress with Christopher Lambert, a sci-fi action movie that I love, and we can talk about it someday in the future. The movie I'm talking about is the one that has this teacher giving a class to some kids, and the school gets invaded by these kidnappers wearing these very sinister animal masks. Recently, I had found this movie and left in my favorite section of YouTube to watch it later, in any moment that I felt like it, because I was thinking, it must be a very good movie still. But I wasn't expecting it to be much better than what I had in my memory. So this is why I decided to make this video immediately. My name is Gustavo, but you can call me Gus, and let's go! Fortress from 1985 was a movie that was originally produced by HBO, and it is an Australian production. And this is something very interesting because recently I have been discovering that the Australian cinema is very interesting on its own. We have movies like Road Games, that is a horror/road movie with Jamie Lee Curtis, that I love, and I would love to talk about it here in the channel someday as well. And obviously we cannot forget about the greatest example of Australian franchise, that is Mad Max. Anyway, here we have the story of this teacher called Sally Jones, who is a British woman that comes to Australia to give classes to a kid's school. But don't be fooled by her pretty face, because she has the spirit of a Sarah Connor from Terminator inside her. Then in some normal day, while she's giving class to these kids, the school gets invaded by these 4 kidnappers that wear these very specific masks. The leader is a Santa Claus. We also have a wolf, a mouse, and a duck. And the whole mood of the beginning of the class is very well paced by the direction, with all the students messing around. We have one of them smoking in secret, some others picking on each other. The teacher is doing her best to control the whole thing. Suddenly the kids start warning the teacher that they are seeing some animals outside the window. Obviously she thinks this is a prank from the kids, until one of them knocks on the window and goes, "Hello." This is when chaos starts taking place, and the kidnappers takes all the kids and the teacher to captivity inside a huge cave. They trap the whole group in there, and then the movie becomes this survival story, with the teacher and the kids using all the resources they have to survive, maybe escape and call the cops, or just run away from these criminals. And the first thing to be noted after this scene that they are taken and trapped inside the cave, the movie becomes quite light in tone, showing all the characters, introducing some of these kids individually. We have Sid, that is the most proactive boy and the one who will always help the teacher. We have the little girl in the group that always needs help. We have the redhead kid that relates everything that he sees with television, especially regarding death and guns. We have the oldest boy in the group that thinks he's already an adult but cannot do very much actually. We have the oldest girl in the group who is suffering the effects of puberty, and she suffers for this because the criminals in the gang lust for her at some point. And we have many others. We have the bigger blonde girl and we have the smaller blonde girl, but they don't do much actually. But the point is not to develop all these characters. It's just to show that there is a class of kids. And this is something that brought me a little bit of PTSD. Let me explain. I was an English teacher here in Brazil for 10 years. So I taught groups of all ages, adults, teenagers, and kids. And I had to teach groups of kids that had the same number of the ones in the movie, like 13 kids or 12 kids. Obviously, I've never been through a situation similar to the one in the movie, thank God, but there were situations in the movie that I truly related to the teacher trying to organize this group of kids all together, especially in such critical situation. Because for being kids, they don't have much filter or know the time to be quiet. So for those who've been teachers in your professional life, know that kids are like machine guns of random comments all the time. And suddenly one of them has this necessity and the other has this other necessity. And then one of them wants to go to the bathroom, and the other has to do something else. And there are some of them that are very nice and help you all the time, but there are others that hate you and want to see you being swallowed by a black hole and disappear from Earth. So there are many moments in the movie when the teacher loses her patience and always get to the point that every teacher knows where we are on the edge of breakdown and we just go, "Oh, for Christ's sake, shut up!" But besides these moments of PTSD, there are other moments when you relate to the kids and you like them. Because in the end of the day, they are just children. Which means they are good people, but they are still evolving. And all of this is very well portrayed by the actress Rachel Ward, who does an excellent job as the character Sally Jones and really carries the movie on her back. And like I said, the evolution of the character in the movie will take her to the point of becoming a hard ass that will do everything to protect these kids. Let me be honest, in her situation, in her shoes, I wouldn't be able to do 50% of what she does in this movie. She explores the cave of their captivity with another student and finds an exit that will take them out of the place, but at the same time they have to swim the lake underneath a rock to reach this exit, and obviously she has to carry one kid at a time to take them underneath the rock, swim the lake until the other point, so then they get free and find a farm to ask for help. What they don't know is that this farm was also invaded by the same criminals, so all of them get screwed again in this bad luck cycle. Now I have to get into the spoiler zone to address the development that follows after that I think is a very interesting one. So if you don't want spoilers for now, you can watch the whole movie on YouTube right now. It is available and it's a very good watch. But anyway, let's go into the spoilers. So like I said before, until this moment of the movie, the story had a light tone to it, which made me think, okay, this movie is going to be this light kids adventure kind of thing that has these heavy details like the criminals and stuff, cause there weren't any violent scenes, none of the kids got killed. By the way, since we are in the spoiler zone, none of the kids get killed in the movie, which is something that I thought a great positive of the story. Anyway, I was having fun with the lighter tone, but then, oh boy, I was wrong. The farm that the kids arrive belonged to an elderly couple, and during an accident, one of the criminals shoots the old man of the couple right on his stomach with a shotgun, killing him with no pity in front of all the kids. And this is where I thought, okay, now the movie has shown its true face. Not just that, but the kids are taken to a cellar in the farm. Then they hear the lady of the elderly couple being murdered outside the cellar, which is a scene that is not shown and only implied. Then I went, oh boy, this movie is dark. Then the movie also showed its true face by the development of these kids. Because then it becomes clear that the main theme of the movie is losing your innocence, even though by such a traumatic event. Then we have the kids and the teacher starting to come up with plans to strike back at the criminals, which means gradually the prey starts to become the hunter. This is when the movie starts to have more horror undertones. Because for example, the criminals in the story are not very brilliant. There is even a moment that one of them turns on the other and kills the other. This is when the kids come up with a plan to attract the wolf guy to the cellar, so they attack him and get his gun. Next, they are able to escape the cellar, and this is when they find the decapitated head of the duck guy outside, which completely took me by surprise, and I thought, I love this movie. Look at this gore. Not being able to escape any further or call the police, they use another cave to turn it into their fortress of the title, a place they will be able to lure the rest of the criminals and strike back. And with the incentive of our Sarah Connor Rambo teacher, the kids convince themselves that if they are the majority, they can beat these criminals. Which in the best Schwarzenegger in the end of Predator way, they become these little Rambos that create weapons, these big sticks that are like spears, they paint themselves. It's glorious. And I'm not sure if I should give away the ending of the movie and what happens to the final criminal that is the leader, the Santa Claus guy, because it's obvious that the kids will survive and they will get free and they will beat the criminals. But how they beat them is just fantastic. Let me just say that you've never seen kids become so savage at the end of any movie. Which takes me back to the original poster of the movie that has the tagline, "The innocents have tasted blood and they like it." Which made me laugh before the movie and go, they're not gonna turn these kids into the savages the poster is promising. But boy, how I was wrong, and I love to be wrong in these cases. Anyway, this is Fortress from 1985, an excellent thriller that should be revisited because movies like this are not made anymore these days. I loved to revisit, and during its short length, because the movie is basically 1 hour and a half, I couldn't take my eyes off the screen. I was always engaged, which again, movies that engage us are not made so much anymore these days as well. I think it holds up very well, especially because of the themes of losing your innocence, especially in the case of the boy Sid, because there is this very audacious scene where he sees the teacher without her clothes because she has to swim to find if there is actually an exit at the other side of the lake. And this is very shocking for him. Not only that, the relation between these two characters, by the way, is a little awkward for these days. But okay. So like I said, you can watch this movie in its full length in YouTube because it is available, and I will leave the link for it right down here in the description. If you liked this video and you are liking the content of Trashing with Gus, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And if you can, contribute for us to keep going as this channel that talks about old classics, trash movies, action movies, all these things that we love. Please consider to visit my Patreon page and contribute with any value that you can for us to keep going. This channel is very independent, but it can grow more and more with your help. So if you can visit the page and contribute, I will be eternally grateful. And this is it for now. Thank you for watching this video. See you in the next Trashing with Gus, and bye-bye.